Hey guys, what's up? It's Sarah. So it is Easter weekend. I have decided to move Hans Christian Andersen weekend to next weekend. And today we are reading a book called The Legend of the Sand Dollar. Why can't Mom and Dad take us to the beach? Carrie sniffled. It's only 2 days, whispered Margaret, and they'll come get us on Easter morning. Carrie tried not to cry. Every few years, her family went to Aunt Jan's house near the beach. I'll just think about playing with certain Jack, she told herself. I'll just think about the ocean. But her tears still fell as the bus took her farther and farther away from her mom and dad. Early the next morning at Aunt Jan's, Carrie went out to look at the boats on the river. Carrie still missed her parents, but soon she heard the put of an engine coming toward her from upstream. Cousin Jack. Carrie, Jack hollered, what do you think about my new boat? It's not very big, she yelled back. Then it's perfect for you. He took her hand, and as she climbed on board, the river opened to the wide bay. Hang on, Jack yelled. Suddenly, the ocean lay before them, as broad as the sky. A small island appeared in the distance. Waves lapped against the shore as Jack beached the boat. What's this? Carrie called, holding up a round object. That's a sand dollar, Jack answered. A sand dollar? Carrie cried. This isn't money. Right, said Jack. It's a starfish that used to live in the ocean. How did they get here? Carrie asked. When the tide goes out, it leaves sand dollars behind, Jack said. Why are they called dollars? She asked. Real dollars used to be round, Jack said, and they were made of silver. But sand dollars have value too. Then I guess we're rich, Carrie teased. In a way, he answered. The sand dollar tells a story, the greatest story of all. Can you see the Easter lily on the side? It's like a trumpet saying, Jesus is alive. Now look in the middle of the lily. There's the star from the Easter that led wise men to Christ. We remember Jesus' birth on this side too. See the Christmas flower? Both sides of the sand dollar tell the Easter story. See the 4 nail holes and the 5th hole made by a spear? Those remind us that Jesus died for us. Now, hold out your hand, said Jack, and watch very carefully. He broke open one of the sand dollars, and 5 white shapes fluttered down. See the dove? This is the new life, the promise of Easter. As Jesus lives again, so shall we. And these doves remind us to spread his promise and this hope to all people. Oh no, Carrie cried. We dropped them. Jack wasn't worried. The high tide will leave more over and over, and I have a whole bucket full back home. As the tide rushed ashore again, Jack helped Carrie back into the boat, pushed it off the beach, and jumped inside. The boat crested the top of each wave, hung in the air. They swooped down like a ride on a roller coaster. But all the way back, Carrie could only think about the sand dollar and how valuable it really was. That night, the moon rose full across the water. "You know what?" asked Jack. "Your parents aren't that far away, like the moon and the tide. But the moon is far away from the ocean." "They're still connected," Jack explained. "The moon's gravity is what pulls the tide high from that far away. That's how the tide works. Like how God can remind us that He is close to," whispered Carrie, thinking of the sand dollar. The next morning, Carrie put a sand dollar into her sister's hands. "Happy Easter, Margaret," she said. "Thanks, Carrie." Carrie smiled and asked, "Do you see the Easter lily?" "An Easter lily?" "Yeah, and inside there are little doves. I'll tell you the whole story." As they waited for their parents, Carrie shared the good news with her sister. Soon Margaret smiled too. Sand dollar is the name for a marine animal that is related to the starfish. Sand dollars have flat, rigid, disc-shaped shells made of interlocked plates just beneath their skin. Living sand dollars are fuzzy and brown or pinkish. They burrow in a sand, feeding on the small organic particles from their skeletons or shells, wash onto the beaches. Only collect sand dollars that are no longer alive. They look like white coins and are about 1 to 4 inches, approximately 2.5 to 10 centimeters diameter. Sand dollars are easiest to find at low tide along the edge of the receding water. The sand washes away from the buried shells as a wave goes out, and the next wave covers them with sand again. In North America, people who live along the coastline often recite this popular poem about sand dollars. There's a pretty little legend that I would like to tell of the birth and death of Jesus found in this lowly shell. If you examine closely, you'll see that you find here 4 nail holes and 5th one made by a Roman spear. On one side, the Easter lily. Its center is the star that appeared unto the shepherds and led them from afar. The Christmas poinsettia etched on the other side reminds us of his birth. Our happy Christmastide. Now break the center open, and here you will release the 5 doves awaiting to spread goodwill and peace. This simple little symbol Christ left for you and me to help us spread his gospel through all eternity. And the author to that poem is unknown. And that is the end of the book. That is a really cute book. I never read that before. Huh. And I'm sorry I don't have a picture of a sand dollar. And we don't have a beach here or an ocean here, so we can't collect them. But you could Google a sand dollar and possibly Google like a sand dollar open so you could show your kids what it looks like, because I don't have that, I'm sorry. But I hope you enjoyed that. Remember that God loves all of you, and you have a wonderful Saturday.